Why Africa must be shown as broken without the involvement of the historically known agitators. A strategy, not an accident. What if Africa is not portrayed as poor by accident? What if the images you've been shown your entire life, dilapidation, chaos, corruption, endless suffering, are not simply misinformation or bad journalism, but a necessary psychological strategy? And what if that strategy isn't mainly designed for white audiences, but specifically for people of African descent living in the West? Because when Africa looks like hell, slavery starts to look like a favor. Africa must be presented as broken for one reason, so no one asks why it was broken. If Africa is shown as naturally poor, naturally violent, naturally dysfunctional, then colonialism isn't theft, slavery isn't a crime, neocolonialism isn't exploitation. It becomes rescue, it becomes intervention, it becomes help, and most dangerously, it becomes something we're supposed to be grateful for escaping. That is why you hear something unthinkable today. People of African descent in the West saying they're glad slavery happened, saying they're lucky they're not in Africa, saying at least they don't have to deal with what Africans are dealing with. That sentence alone proves the strategy worked. Because if Africa is hell, then the plantation becomes a lifeboat, the colonizer becomes a savior, and the descendants of enslavers receive a moral refund. No guilt, no debt, no accountability. If Africa were truly worthless, it would have been left alone centuries ago. But it wasn't, and it still isn't. Because Africa is not poor, it is extracted. That is why foreign interests cannot keep their hands out of it. That is why conflicts are fueled, but never fully resolved. That is why borders were drawn to fracture tribes instead of unify civilizations. That is why instability is managed, not eliminated. Chaos keeps prices low. Division keeps resistance weak. Poverty keeps ownership external. And yes, this part must be said, Africans themselves have often been weaponized in this strategy. Divide one group against another, elevate collaborators, sanction resistors, fund one faction, starve another, blame tribalism without explaining who engineered the conditions. People love to blame ancestors for selling out to each other, but today we sell out for visas, contracts, validation, and proximity to power. The strategy never disappeared, it evolved. Back then it was chains, guns and ships. Today it's narratives, media, policy, and psychology. It's not about brute force anymore. It's about blurring the lines so thoroughly that no one knows who to hold accountable. That's why Africa must remain a cautionary tale, a warning, a place you're told you should be happy you don't live in. Because once you believe you escaped hell, you stop questioning the system that put you there in the first place. And this is where things get uncomfortable. Modern narratives don't just degrade Africa, they slowly dissolve identity everywhere else. Not through open hatred, but through selective representation, social engineering, and constant messaging about what progress looks like and who gets to define it. This isn't about policing personal choices or relationships. Systems don't care about love, they care about outcomes. And one of the most dangerous illusions ever sold to our people is the idea that neutrality is safe. History shows us the most dangerous people are not always the loud enemies, but those who stand in the middle, those who refuse clarity, those who benefit from ambiguity. Every system of domination relies on people who won't choose a side. And that's why I say this plainly. Black is not just a skin tone, it is lineage, memory, inheritance. A shared history shaped by pressure and survival. A worldview forged under specific conditions. Looking the same does not mean standing the same. Shared appearance without shared vision is dangerous. Shared language without shared loyalty is lethal. Until we stop confusing familiarity with alignment, we will keep mistaking proximity for protection. Africa must be shown as broken because a healed Africa would expose too many crimes. A respected Africa would demand reparations. A unified Africa would disrupt global economics. A dignified Africa would force truth, and that truth is inconvenient. So ask yourself this: who benefits from what you believe? Who profits from your distance? Who sleeps peacefully because you feel lucky to be gone? Awareness is the first rebellion, and clarity is the beginning of freedom.